This is Paul. During this webinar, we're going to be talking about boating from Ocean City, or actually Longport, New Jersey, to Atlantic City along the ICW. I forgot to push the record button until a little late in the webinar. I apologize for that, but we did capture the majority of the webinar, just not the beginning. So I had to throw this in here. Hopefully you enjoy.
The rest of the day. Please turn your video off and your microphone off unless you have a question or have something to call out. I may or may not see you raise your hand. There is a button at the bottom of your screen. I have been told that the image I have on the screen right now may not be what you see. All depends on what you're looking at the video with right now. Are you looking at it on an iPad, looking at it on a phone, looking at it on a computer? But there should be somewhere on your screen, maybe 3 dots, maybe a little hand, maybe some way to raise your hand and let me know. So I was asked after the last call, why am I doing these presentations? Someone kind of sat on the call and kind of in the background and later pulled me aside and said, why are you doing this? The reason I'm doing these webinars is a couple of things. One, I don't think anybody's ever done this ever before. If they have, I never heard about it. What I'm doing is we're going every week or twice a week, slowly talking, doing a half-hour blocks and conversations of water, kind of walking beginners or boaters through that area and kind of introducing them to things that they should know and maybe probably didn't know before of that area. The other thing is we applied for and won a National Boating Safety Award at the end of 2024. And part of that application was to start doing some webinars. And this webinar is the result of that application that, hey, we're going to start rolling out some webinars. And this is me getting my feet wet in doing such webinars. All right, before we really get into talking about the water and before I bring up the chart on the tablet, I always like to highlight some educational stuff. Since we are going to be talking about some bridges, like I said, there are a couple bridges that we have to open. Kind of important to talk about the VHF radio that's on our boat. How do we use it, right? It's kind of this foreign thing. It could be white, it could be black, it could be gray, it could be dusty. What is this thing? All right, a couple useful things to know about it. First and foremost, you want to make sure it turns on. It's going to be a knob on it, a real big knob. Usually you have to either turn it. When you turn it, it's going to click. The lights are all going to turn on there. You can see how that screen right there behind all the lights is orange, or maybe it'll turn green. The numbers will appear, it will illuminate. Sometimes it will click. All right, and maybe you'll start hearing noise. Maybe you'll start hearing some static. All right, or maybe you'll start hearing people talk. There's something called a squeal. You may see it called SQL on the screen. See if I can annotate this per se. Be my pink color here. I do like my pink because it is really easy to see on the video. So this here, I'm circling the volume key, and here I want to circle the squeal function. If when you turn on your radio, all you hear is static and you can't hear anything, go ahead and adjust your squeal function. Turn it up slowly until you stop hearing the static. And that is when it'll be perfect. That'll be your perfect kind of frequency, perfect squeal setting. A couple other buttons that we have here. What are these other buttons? Let's figure it out. Clear all drawings. So we have the numbers in the middle. This right here tells you what channel you are on. There's a whole bunch of channels on there. Some channels that are important to know. If Amanda can let you know in the chat, Three important channels are channel 16. Channel 16 is for the Coast Guard. You can get Coast Guard assistance, you can get CTO assistance, or Boat US assistance. CTO and Boat US, or if you break down, you need help. CTO is, well, not CTO, Coast Guard is like emergency responders. They'll come out and help you, right? The next number I want to highlight is channel 13. Channel 13 in the area that we're talking about is going to open, fingers crossed, every single bridge that you need to open. The next number I want to talk about is channel 68. 68 is where all of the recreation traffic, every other boater, for the most part, that's where they're going to be talking. That's where they're going to be asking, hey, what fish did you catch? Hey, where are you going? What are you doing this afternoon? That's where all that chatter is going to be talking. Now, again, we're up to channel 68. There's a whole bunch of other channels. Don't really have to worry about those. Just keep those three numbers in mind. Okay, clear the drawings. Some other functions, if you want to change that channel. Oh, I changed my thickness here. I don't know. Oh, that's how. There we go, line thickness. Okay, you can use these buttons here on this radio. There's a button up, button down. That'll change your radio channel. If for some reason you're on just some random channel and you want to quickly get to channel 16, you can do that by pressing this red button. That quickly gets you to channel 16. Boop, you're right there. Quickly get a hold of the Coast Guard and you're good to go. If you're curious what this WX button is right here, this WX, that stands for weather station. Okay, if you press that, and then you're gonna, that'll change the configuration of the radio. Instead of a 1 through, I don't know what the number is, 80, you're gonna get a 1 through 5. Then you're gonna change it, just change the number until you start hearing people talk. That will then give you a broadcasting from NOAA as to what the local weather broadcast is. I think in our area, it's channel 2 or channel 3. Depending upon where you are, in channel 3 or channel 2. Okay, clear that, clear all the drawings, clear all the color and the markings. Another couple other buttons that we have here is the high-low button. The high-low button changes the frequency or the strength of your voice, right? So while I'm talking right now, I can either be talking normally to you, or I could start talking really loud. If I start talking really loud, high voice, that can be really distorting and people won't necessarily like that. In fact, if I'm talking too loud via the antenna, the voice can actually skip, and the people too close to me, the boat close to me, won't hear our conversation. Okay, versus if I have it on a low band, the boat next to us will be able to, I'll be able to talk to the boat next to us. Comparatively, the boats all the way at the other side of the bay might not be able to hear us. So if I want to open a bridge that is, I can see, that is a couple hundred yards away or a couple yards away, I want to use a low band on my radio. I don't want to use a high band. I want to use a low band because I want to talk to them. I don't want to yell at them, right? Because if I yell at them, there's a chance that my voice will skip them and go beyond, and they won't be able to hear what I'm saying. I hope that made sense. Okay. Another button here, there's this really big thing here, MMSI. Phone's computer's kind of glitching. Kind of pointing down here at this red box. This red box is a plastic cover, basically a oh shoot button. All right, if your boat is sinking, you flick this cover up, you push that button, it sends out an immediate SOS. Hey, my boat is sinking, come save me, come help me. All right, that's what that does. A couple other buttons here, there's scan and call set, just kind of extra functions, don't really have to get into those. But for the most part, we kind of covered the radio functions that you need to know for the areas and functions that we're going to be covering today. All right, for our area that we're going to be talking today, it's going to be really important to know channel 13. 13 is going to be used to open every single bridge that will be capable of opening that we need to open. Make sure there's no other. Okay. Now I'm going to transition to the tablet. All right, starting in Ocean City. When you're in Ocean City, you have two paths that you can take. All right. It really depends on what the weather is doing. Okay. You have, I'll annotate this. I like my pink because you can see the pink. We can go this direction across the inlet over to Longport, or we can take the intercoastal waterway back behind Broad Thoroughfare. It really depends on your head clearance. All right. Can I squeeze underneath these bridges to go back there? One, can I do that? Really, only if you're going to have some skinny boats are you going to go that way. And two, what is the weather conditions across that inlet? A lot of people, if they have larger boats, they just go across the inlet. Not many people go around the inside, but we can quickly talk about and show you the inside route. Okay, the inside route is kind of deceiving. You can't just scoot across and shoot that way. During 2 sessions ago, I highlighted this, but I will highlight it again. We have 3 roads right here I want to highlight. We have the intercoastal waterway right here that goes out to the ocean. We have the Great Egg Harbor River that would go in this fashion up the river. And then we also have, I guess I misspoke, and to say now the intercoastal waterway that would then follow this path and these buoys that avoids a sandbar or 3 that then gets up into the channel and follows this channel up and around and avoids the inlet. Okay. So looking at in this scenario right here, how did I know for the inlet that we had to treat this red? How did I know that the inlet we go in this direction? Because you can see this magenta line that's dashed right here. And that tells you that follows the path of the intercoastal waterway. That tells you the direction it is going. Okay, so let's follow it here. Intercoastal waterway kind of slithers around here and follows the channel markers around. And then it gets up into this thoroughfare. All right, right up here, this thoroughfare, we come across our first bridge. This bridge does not open and it has a vertical clearance of 59 feet. Okay. In this area, you want to make sure that we're sticking with the channel. Do not go outside of the channel. All right, because we can see that we're going to be avoiding some shoaling in this area. We're just going to get nice and tight right underneath the kind of the cross area here. There, going to want to get nice and tight over here to the side. All right, in the intercoastal waterway, it's important to remember that we're going to be keeping the green buoys between us and the ocean seaweed, and the red buoys between us and the rust on the land, or the rust on the mainland. Okay, so we're going to follow this channel and we're going to keep going along with it. Here, you kind of do a transition here. Transitions green to the red. Just kind of keep following it around. Make sure you're paying attention. Make sure you're looking for the next buoy, the next channel marker, and you don't wind up turning and going the wrong way. And then you find yourself aground and stuck in the mud pretty quickly. All right, and we find ourselves over here. And once we do that, then we made up back on the other side. And we have now avoided completely the inlet. All right, go back down to the inlet. Back to where we started. It is red buoy, 250. Going from Ocean City, going back over to the inlet. When we go into the inlet, you kind of have to pay attention because you're not going to start feeling the inlet swell until you're roughly in the middle of the inlet. All right, why do I say that? You look at this and say, oh, it's gigantic and it's wide open. You should automatically just start feeling it. But in actuality, see if I can annotate this here for you. I'll go to a brown. I like to use brown to highlight sandbars. So you have a sandbar right here. Nice big sandbar right here. And the sandbar is only about 2 feet deep, 3 feet deep at low tide. All right. That sandbar is going to do a great job of dissipating a whole lot of that ocean energy. So even though you're going to have that ocean energy coming in with those swells, it's going to dissipate that energy and you're not going to feel that swell until you get roughly about halfway across that inlet. All right. So a lot of people coming home from the light parade, unfortunately get kind of stuck here, have a rough ride come across here, and sometimes double back and go up around the top of that island, and it kind of messes their timing up because they don't want to fight and they don't want to cross that swell, even though they only have a couple yards, but their family just starts fighting them and say, hey, I don't want to, they start complaining about it. So they double back and they go, what they wind up doing is they get to here, and that's where they say, oh shoot, now I'm feeling a swell, it's too much for me. So they take back and they go up and they find their way around, and that adds time. And you have some time. You do have a hard time to get back for that light parade. 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, you have to be at the Albany Bridge, through the Albany Bridge at 9 o'clock. Keep that time in mind. Okay, as we enter Longport area, now we're on an inlet. So as we go in an inlet or up a river, we're going to have red on our right and returning from sea, red on our right. So that's why the buoys right here are different. We're not on the intercoastal waterway right now in this area. We are on in an inlet. I will circle this marina. This is a Seaview Harbor Marina right here. This marina is a protected marina. It has a seawall. It can be tight, so make sure you know what you're doing when you go in there. They do have fuel. It can be tight, so you got to be on top of your game. Make sure if you haven't been in there, aren't necessarily very perfect with your controls, with your splitting your sticks. Make sure you have people at the ready with their lines, with your poles, with your bumpers. Have everything ready to go. Okay. We're going to be approaching a bridge right here. This bridge does not open. It's humongous. I mean, you're not going to be hitting this bridge. Absolutely humongous. All right, coming in here, and we can see this magenta line again. I'll highlight it. Dotted line indicates that we are back on the intercoastal waterway. This path right here, this is coming from that, again, that path that avoided the inlet. Okay. All right, right up here, we come across a couple marinas. Oh, I forgot to mention that Seaview Harbor does have a restaurant. They do have food there. It is good times over there. Feel free to stop and get food. I'm just going to kind of circle this area. I would do a horrible job kind of drawing lines and separating this area, but anyway, I'm going to do my best. Right here, I think we have Lamberti, Sunset Marina. Lamberti is restaurant and Sunset Marina. Lamberti's, they do have a dock and dine scenario during the season. Currently is not set up. I literally just called them before the meeting, and they do not offer dock and dine currently, but they said they will be offering dock and dine somewhere around Memorial Day. They weren't sure if they're going to be offering it before or after Memorial Day, but they target Memorial Day. Right next to the Sunset Marina is Blue Water Marina. Next to that is what used to be called Barbary Coast Marina, but they don't have a website and they don't have a Facebook page. So I'm not exactly sure if it's there or not. Does anybody on the call know if it's there or know if it has a different name? I do welcome input. I do not know everything. Okay. All right, we're going to keep continuing. We're going to come across my nemesis right here. So I don't know if you've ever boated in this area before, but this island right here has got to be the worst thing ever in existence. Right here. This island is the worst thing in existence. At high tide, it's not there. Not there at all. Nope, not there. At low tide, the only thing you see is a flag. That's it. That's it. And if you're after the light parade in Ocean City, you're doing your darnest to get to the Albany ramp by 9 o'clock, and the Margate Bridge right here. You're on the radio with the Margate Bridge. You're trying to get them to open, and you just run right aground right there. So make sure you're paying attention in this area. Do not run over the flag. Be careful of the flag. All right, this Margate Bridge, the toll bridge does have a roughly a 14-foot bridge clearance. By the measuring stick, it's 13.8. It does open on signal, so it will open if you call them on the radio, channel 13. But a good rule of thumb with all the bridges, do not test them at rush hour. All right. Yes, it says open on signal. All right. They're supposed to open on signal. But if you're in a boat and you pull up to there and you pull up at 6 o'clock and they have rush hour traffic just sitting up there, pick your times. That's all I'm going to say. Pick your times. Be smart. And then if you do that a couple times, all right. Okay, so we're going to keep continuing along the intercoastal waterway here. Much of this intercoastal waterway is no wake zone. I think I mentioned it before, but I want to make sure I reiterate it here. It is majority of this is all in the wake zone. So that's why it takes forever to get between the two spots, Atlantic City and Ocean City. So right here, we have an intersection. And I want to highlight it because one of them is marked and one of them is not always marked. You kind of have to know where you're going to be able to get there. Okay, so we could be going in this direction. This takes you back to Atlantic City. That takes you to Farley Marina. If you dock in Pleasantville, you would want to go straight. Okay, if you're going to go straight, you really have to know where you're going. All right, you can get back there with jet skis, you can get back there with some small boats. They do have channel markers the further you get in, but it can be sporadic. So make sure you know where you're going. Tonight I am using the Navionics app. Anytime I'm in an area that I'm unfamiliar with, I do like to have show you the settings that I'm using right now. I have the sonar chart, or it used to be called a fishing chart, and I'm using a no overlay. If I really get confused, sometimes I use a satellite overlay. If you look at see what this looks like when we zoom in here, sometimes we can actually see what the sandbars are. Sometimes it's a sandbar, sometimes it's a cloud. And then you can actually see where the boats, sometimes you'll see a boat. And it's helpful when you're determining, is it a good decision or a bad decision to go in this location. All right, but for the purpose of what we're doing here, I'm going to get rid of the overlay because it's just too much on the screen. All right, let's head back towards Pleasantville. We're going back here. It gets really tight, really quick. We can see here where we go quickly from kind of a standard, like a 24, 23 foot channel. There is a real old shipwreck over here. It's a old, not an old dredge. It's a old, can't think of the name of it. It's an old barge that's underneath the up in the weeds, up in all the weeds have overtaken it at this point. But it's in there, and you can see that the sandbar has been growing around it, right? So just be mindful of that. Do not run right along the green marker. Kind of hug to the middle of the channel, and you'll be fine. You'll be able to get up into there. All right, once we do get up in there, kind of draw yourself a line, okay? Draw yourself what a normal channel would look like and try to stay to the center of it, and you'll be good. All right, there is a island, kind of stay to the middle between the two islands, and you're good. There's a red channel marker that indicates where you're going, and you'll be good. After there, you get to the green, and just kind of follow it. It slinkies around. Just kind of follow your way. The channel does stay to the outside, all the way around the bay, all the way back to Pleasantville. Okay. When you're going back here, try to time your tides. All right. Don't go back to Pleasantville at low tide. You're going to get stuck. All right. It's just nothing but mud back there. Nothing but mud. It just asking for trouble. Plan it for a mid tide. Plan it for a high tide. You can get some pretty big boats back there. Just plan it accordingly. All right, let's get back to the intercoastal waterway, to our fork in the road. and we'll head towards Atlantic City. Okay, right here is our fork in the road, our 221 buoy, and we'll head towards Atlantic City. Right here, there is a spot where the no wake zone stops, where you can kind of pick it up and change it to satellite imagery. Like, how's this stop? Okay, so it is right here. Yeah, so we could see. Change it to pink so we can see. How's the stop right here, right? So in this area, we can pick it up so we can try to save ourselves some time until we can get up to this curve, right? Because if not, it just takes forever. Okay, then we get back to here, and this is a sharp turn, and respect the buoys. The buoys are there for a reason. Okay, we can see the depth here, right? Go back to no overlay, maybe it'll drop a sandbar there. It did not. So let me draw one in. The brown. Okay, we have a sandbar right here. Okay, respect the green channel markers. Okay, go around the channel markers. I have seen people change the red to indicate don't do this. All right, I have seen people go and try to do that, and they get stuck halfway. Even at high tide, I've seen them get stuck. All right, do not cut that turn. All right, then once we make this turn, yes, you can go back there. There's stuff back there. All right, now we're going. This is kind of a canal. I'll put this back to satellite imagery so you can see where we're at. This is all slow, no wake. There are quite a few sticklers along this way that will definitely let you know if you're going too fast. Okay, as we approach this area, we are coming to our next bridge. And now we really have to know what time it is. Okay. I know it says there's a marina over here, but there's no marina. It says Newport Marine. That's not a marina. That's just a guy that owns a construction business. Okay. The Dorset Bridge. If you're going to go through these bridges frequently, I highly suggest getting the phone numbers off the sides of these bridges, because sometimes it is very difficult to get a hold of these guys on the radio. No lie. Get the phone numbers off the side of the bridges. Get your binoculars out, get the phone numbers, and just call them. All right. The Dorset Bridge does not want to open the bridge until they see you. Okay. And you can see how close and tight knit this is. They also, now this is, I'm giving you the opening times for the summer. This is June 1st to September 30th, right? So I said June 1st, not until after Memorial Day, June 1st to September 30th. They open on the 15th, every half hour, but on the 15 and the 45. Okay, so they do this because the next bridge is on the 30s. So what I do on my way back from Ocean City, what I will do is when I am right here, I will be on the radio or on the phone with the Dorset Bridge, okay, telling them that where I am and requesting the bridge opening, okay. That way he can be looking to see where the cars are and making an appropriate decision whether or not he can open the bridge, when he can and when he can't open the bridge. Okay, he will open the bridge on the 15s and the 45s from basically 9:15 to 9:15 at night. But he won't open it during rush hour. Okay. but get their phone numbers. I don't know their phone. I don't have my phone next to me, but get their phone numbers. All right, the next bridge we're going to come to. I kind of keep going along here. It's real tight. You get 15 minutes to get through here. Why do I say 15 minutes? I say 15 minutes because the next bridge we're coming to is Albany Avenue. Albany Avenue Bridge opens every 30 minutes on the half hour. So it'll open on the hour and on the half hour. Okay, from June 1st to September 30th. This guy's tough. I'll be honest, this guy is really difficult. All right, he will make you take down every single antenna and every single, or excuse me, every single antenna, every single bimini, everything he can, and then you say, okay, yeah, no, now you can go through, or no, now the bridge is too low. I will open the bridge for you. Just make sure that you're ready to go, and he won't open the bridge until you're right next to the bridge, and he will make you wait for the bridge to open. This guy's tough. Thankfully, or not so thankful, there is right next to it. I will circle it right here. This, Amanda, if you scroll down, this is the Wonder Bar. This is a great spot. I have slept many nights here, docked here, because the Albany Avenue Bridge stops opening at 9 o'clock at night. Okay, so if you don't get through here at 9 p.m., the last opening is at 9 p.m. If you don't get through that last opening, you are stuck here, and you could be sleeping here at the bar or anchored in the river somewhere here. Just know that it's there. Great place to go. Good times. Spent many of nights there. All right, right on the other side of the bridge. This is the old kind of defunct Bader Field right here. And yes, there used to be a ball field there. I think it's been abandoned or changed names about a half dozen times now. I don't know anymore. There is a boat ramp right here. This is the Bader Field boat ramp. Yeah, that's right there. I guess I can circle it here. Again, this is all no wake zone still. Okay, zoom out. All right, I want to highlight this next spot just past at the bottom of the runway right here. There is a shoal, a sandbar that is very kind of annoying. Okay, you can see it right here. And there's no way to avoid it. So brown mark here, brown mark here. Okay, so we have 3 feet, 2 feet, 2 feet. I don't know, bad marks. There's no way to avoid it. All right, just make sure you're timing your tide. Do not hit that at low tide. If you hit that at low tide, you're going to churn mud getting through there. I do recall that they did do some dredging at one time, but just because of the way the currents move through there, it just kind of all messed up. It just keeps coming back and just keeps coming back. Just know that it's there and don't go through that spot at low tide. Okay. We're at another kind of fork in the road, if you will. If we go this way, we follow the Intercoastal Waterway and we go to Atlantic City. If we go this way, we go to the All Marine Center of Atlantic City. There is a marina up top to the left. Let's see where it is. Not only is there a marina, but there is also a wave runner rental place. And there's a pretty big bay back here that you can go back here and just have fun and have a good time. All right, so we can see what this bay looks like, right? I zoomed out, so there's plenty of room back here. You're obviously not really going to get stuck as long as you stay in the middle of the bay. You don't run over any of the islands. You'll be good, right? Just all right. Here we're staying in the middle, and we're fine. We can kind of see that the waterway kind of stays a little bit to the left here, and we're fine. Kind of stays in the middle, and we're still good to go. There is an island here in the middle that makes it kind of questionable. That's not good. Let's not run over to that island. It does make it kind of difficult to get back there, but we're still good if we go back, if we hug the Route 322 side. This is over here. This is Route 322, the Black Horse Pike, if you're curious. So there is a channel back here. If we zoom in, no, I thought that was a channel marker, just a triangle. All right, now we can follow this and we can make our way. It does kind of slink its way back to a very large storage yard and marina back here. All right, this has changed its name a couple times. I did just check its website. It is updated. This is the All Marine Center of Atlantic City. And there is a wave runner rental place out of there. So be careful on your way back there. Watch out for wave runners going crazy. They do offer repairs. They don't mention fuel, but I do recall seeing a fuel truck there the last time I was there. And they do offer haul outs. Just be careful of tide and mind your depth finder on the way out. All right, we're going to zoom out and we are going to slide back to that fork in the road. Okay. Wow, this took longer than I thought it was. Sorry about the dogs. Okay, here we are back at the fork in the road. We're going to make our way towards Atlantic City. Here we approach two bridges. First bridge we come to is the Atlantic City Expressway Bridge. That bridge does not open. The second bridge, this bridge is the New Jersey Transit Bridge. This bridge does open, and it has to open because it is so small you can't fit anything underneath there. They do say it has a 5-foot vertical clearance. I have seen people take their wave runners underneath there, and I have cringed when I have seen people take their wave runners through there. So the rule of thumb to get this thing opened is it will open on signal only if the train is not anywhere between Atlantic City and Absecon, and if it's not broken. Hopefully that makes sense. So if you're going to be going through this area, bring up Google Maps or bring up iMaps, whatever your preferred map application is on your phone, and just kind of click on the Jersey Transit's icon over here, and just see when the train's due in or departing, and just don't go through there when one is expected within a half hour of that happening, and you'll be fine. All right, here, let's continue our way around here. Make sure that you're respecting the channel markers in this area because there is a large sandbar here. You can see it on the bottom of the screen where we have the marsh. You can see the 1s, the 2s. I guess I can annotate this. All right, we do have the large sandbar here. All right, make sure you're staying in the channel. You do have the red, you do have the green. I'll highlight this with the magenta. All right, you do have the red, you have the green all the way up there, right? So stay in the channel. All right, this is all no wake. Okay. All right, continuing here. Again, respect the channel. All right, the channel marker is there for a reason. It's indicating, hey, there's a sandbar there. And yeah, the sandbar is there. Keep that green channel marker on your starboard side. Stick to the outside of it. You can see that big hole right there. The big hole is down there. You're good there. All right, just follow the channel around and we're good. Channel just kind of slinks around here. It does get tight right here on this turn. So make sure that you're paying attention. It does look like it opens up, so it can be deceiving. Let's see what this looks like when I get rid of the silent imagery. Okay, so it shows that there's an island there. But in reality, when you're looking at the water, when you're on your boat, it's just water. It doesn't look like there's land there, especially at high tide. It just looks like water. I have gone through this area numerous times, and I can't tell you how many people personally that I have pulled off of this sandbar right here because they're just not paying attention, right? So they either come around this fast and they just go right up on there, or they think that they try to get away from these houses and they go out here to go fast because they think this is a big bay and they just wind up right on there. Just not good. So that sandbar here is that the sandbar is as a result of just old wrecks, old vessels just not getting cleaned up over time and silt just getting piled on top and piled on top and piled on top. The wrecks have since been removed, but the sandbars just are now semi-permanent at this point. Okay, zoom back in. The next bridge that we're coming across here, right here, this is a Route 30 bridge. This bridge for the last year has been under construction constantly, absolutely constantly. It has a vertical clearance of 60 foot. All right. The rules say from April 1st to October 31st, it will only open on the hour when you ask it to. But I'll be honest, I have never had that bridge not open when I asked it to. There's been a couple times when I asked it to, and it said, hey, can you just try to put your outriggers down? And if I said no, he says, okay, and just puts it up. I have never had a problem opening that bridge unless it's under construction. And it's been under construction for quite a long time. So keep that in mind. All right, then we're going to come around. And the ICW just kind of slinks around here. Respect your channel markers. Always respect your channel markers. All right, and the intercoastal waterway ends right here. Actually, this is now the Absecon Inlet. This is where it connects to the Absecon Inlet. And I'm going to zoom out here and I'm going to start sliding us down. Down here, we have this right here. This is the Brigantine Bridge. You know, I'm going to switch us over to the satellite imagery so you can see exactly where we are. So you can have a perspective as to where we are. So you can field of reference. All right, we're going to be coming down into the inlet per se. Oh, there might be too much static. Too much going on with it. All right, once we're coming down into the inlet, depending upon the depth, the draft of your vessel, you have a couple things going on here. Okay. We're only going to Atlantic City. We're not covering Brigantine today. Brigantine will be starting on Monday. So coming from the bridge, the center of the bridge, all right, we're going to go to the junction buoy. The junction buoy is the red and green buoy right here. That is this buoy. At that buoy, we're going to turn starboard and go into Clam Creek. Clam Creek is where all the marinas are. All right, depending upon your draft, that is something you may have to do. There is a anchorage in this location. There are lots of people that come in there and they anchor their boats if they don't want to pay for a slip. Maybe they're only staying a couple of nights. Maybe they don't want to pay. Maybe they don't need all those amenities. Maybe they have a nice yacht or the sailboat and they don't need to do that. If your boat does not draft a lot of water, I have seen people, you can, if you have a skinny boat, you can come in and cut straight across. All right, but just be mindful and watch your depth coming in and doing that. All right, let's zoom in, talk about the entrance. All right, coming in here, a couple things to pay attention to. I'm going to highlight this in red. If you're from Atlantic City, you should know this very well. Be careful of the fishing rods. Okay, there's people that fish off this constantly. All right, don't cut those lines because the next thing that'll be coming your way could be a dipsy. All right, be careful of the fishing rods. Next thing I want to highlight is this line right here. All right, that is your no wake zone, or maybe it's like that. That's your no wake zone. Okay, anything on this side of this is all no wake. Make sure you're slowed down enough and that you're not going to get a ticket. All right, don't get a ticket. All right, as you're coming in, a lot of stuff going on over here. A lot to talk about, a lot to cover. Well, not a lot to cover. Try to annotate it as best as I can. Back to pink. Over here, oh, thought it was annotating. Over here, we have Farley Marina. They do have fuel. They do have restaurants. They do have dock and dine. I did not mention it earlier, but if you want to reserve a slip, if you want to talk to them, they do use channel 65 on the VHF radio. If you are talking to them, do not talk to them on the radio. They don't want to talk to you until you are directly in front of the marina. Okay. If you are out here and you call them on the radio, they will tell you, call back. Thank you for calling. Call back when you are over here. All right. Delete all that. Next one I want to highlight is Cameraman's Marina. Cameraman's does have fuel. They do have a bait shop. They used to have a restaurant or a bar. I have no idea if they have it this year. I have not gone there this year. Does anyone know if they do or not?
Oh, I think that's become a private club.
Okay.
I was there getting fuel at that little fuel dock right next door last year and talking to the fuel guy because there was a raving party going on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And he had indicated it was a private club now with a membership fee.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's because they were serving alcohol. Okay. All right. Something else going on over here is, so you have a state marina over in this general area. There is an aquarium, but I'm going to be honest. That state marina has been in such disrepair. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know who to call. I don't think they have a website. I wouldn't put my boat anywhere near those slips. All honesty. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about those slips. It's there. I don't know what to tell you. Just that it's there. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on this area. This area is, though, this is Gardner's Basin. There is some key things to highlight in this area. I know that I mentioned that the majority of this marina slips are not okay to kind of try to stay away from it, but some of them are good because there are some restaurants up here. You have places like the Back Bay Ale House, and you have the best breakfast place in the world, Gilchrist Restaurant, right here. All right. A lot of people come and they will tie their boat up right here at the marina and then walk to those locations for like a dock and dine scenario. All right, great spots to go. Sometimes there's also some food trucks in the area. A lot of stuff going on right there. Good spot, good times. All right. Is there anything else right here to highlight? I know there's a whole bunch of pink sailboats. Just because there's a pink sailboat doesn't mean there's an actual marina. That's all I'm going to say. Sometimes a pink sailboat is an old marina that's going away. Sometimes it's someone's house. Sometimes it's a yacht club that's not there anymore. Sometimes it's just a club. All right, there. Yeah, that, you know what? That's all I have. That's all I have for here. Again, I'm not covering the inlets because the inlets have a whole separate conversation. Yeah. Okay, so let's switch back to, how do I stop presenting? Okay, our next conversation is going to be on the 12th on Monday, and we're going to be talking about from the ICW, for the most part, between Atlantic City and the Great Bay and the waters between them. We might also kind of think about all that area. We might be talking about a little bit more about the Great Bay than just to the Great Bay.
Thanks for joining us for this session of Whitman Marine Training's Boater's Compass. I hope you found this discussion helpful in navigating safer and smarter. As always, stay aware, plan ahead, and respect the water. Don't forget to check out our upcoming webinars. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like covered next time, please let us know. Subscribe for updates. And until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and enjoy the journey and get out on the water and have some fun.